You know, it was a time, ladies and gentlemen, in 1976. Most people didn't know who Sissy Spacek was. They kind of knew who Brian dePalma was, but he didn't really know who Stephen King was. And the triumphant or the trio that got together, timing is everything, to make one of the best horror movies of all time. So today we're going to be talking about the original Carrie, or in some territories called Carrie White. Now, did this movie become the best of the 1970s? Well, a lot of people believe it's the best horror thriller. Now, Carrie was the first Stephen King novel to be published and the first to be adapted into feature film. During an interview in 2010, King said he was only 26 at the time, was paid just $2,500 for the film rights, but added he was fortunate to have this happen to his first book. dePalma del Cine Fantastique, in an interview in 1977, I read the book. It was suggested to me by a writer friend of mine. A writer friend of his, Stephen King, had penned it. I guess it was almost 2 years ago. This was 1975. I liked it a lot and proceeded to call my agent to find out who owned it. I found out that nobody had bought it yet. A lot of studios were considering it, so I called around to some of the people I knew and said it was a terrific book, and I'm very interested in doing it. Then nothing happened, I guess, for 6 months. Now, Lawrence D. Cohen was hired as a screenwriter and produced the first draft, which had closely followed the novel's intentions. The Iron Artists accepted a second draft but allocated dePalma a budget of only $1.6 million, a small amount considering the popularity of horror films at the time. The budget eventually rose to $1.8 million. Certain scripted scenes were omitted from the final version, mainly due to financial limitations. Now, many young actors auditioned for a role, and one of the leading contenders was Melanie Griffith, but Sissy Spacek was then persuaded by husband Jack Fisk to audition for the title role of Carrie White. Fisk then convinced dePalma to let her audition, and she read for all the parts. dePalma's first choice for role of Carrie was Betsy Slade, who received good notices for a role in the film Our Time. Determined to land her leading role, Spacek backed out of a TV commercial to schedule the film, rubbed Vaseline into her hair, left her face unwashed, and arrived for screen tests clad in a sailor dress, which her mother had made her in the 7th grade, with the hem cut off. It was given a part. Nancy Allen was the last to audition. An audition came just as she was on the verge of leaving Hollywood, and conflict of interest, eventually married in 1979, but divorced 5 years later. Now, this was kind of shot like a TV movie. It came out in the late fall of 1976, but filming started on March 1st of that year. dePalma began with director-photographer Isidore Mankowski, was eventually replaced by Mario Tozzi after a conflict between Mankowski and dePalma ensued. Gregory M. Orr, assisted by Ken PPO, served as special effects supervisor for Carrie, with Jack Fisk, Spacek's husband, as art director. The exterior of the White House was filmed in Santa Paula, California. To give the house a Gothic theme, the director and producers visited religious souvenir shops to find artifacts to decorate the set location. There's a lot of Catholic imagery and Protestant imagery in the movie. Most interiors were constructed on a sound stage in Culver City, while exteriors set on the grounds of the high school were shot at Palisades Charter High School. Now, music again for Carrie was composed by Pino Donaggio. In addition, he scored 2 pop songs, Born to Have It All, I Never Dreamed Someone Like You Could Love Someone Like Me, with lyrics by Merritt Malloy for the early portion of the prom sequence. These songs were owned by Katie Irving, neither sister of Amy Irving nor the daughter of Priscilla Pointer. Donaggio would working with dePalma on home movies, Dressed to Kill, Blowout, Body Double, Raising Cain, Passion, and Domino. Now, the film opened November 3rd, a quick film, as we say, in 17 theaters in Washington, Baltimore area. 2 days later, it opened in 9 theaters in Chicago, then opened wide in 53 in New York City on November 16th, and in LA on November 17th. Now, at the time, I don't think most of the Canadian territories, including Montreal and Toronto, got the movie probably late. Maybe, I'm thinking December, but for a lot of people who wanted to see it over the Christmas holidays because it was a key movie. Carrie's was a box office success, earning $14.5 million theatrical release in the U.S. and Canada by January 1978. It was wide for over 14 months from a gross of $33.8 million. In its first 19 days from 60 markets, the film had grossed nearly $4 million. Overseas, the film earned rentals of $7 million for a worldwide total of $22 million. Now only nominated for 2 Academy Awards, nothing for art direction or movie or sound. Sissy Spacek got a Best Actress nomination, as did the great Piper Laurie for Best Supporting. Now, ironically, only one nomination at the Golden Globes was Piper Laurie. Now, key wins was at the Avazaz Fantastic Film Festival, as the film won the grand prize for Brian De Palma and special mention to Sissy Spacek. The National Society of Film Critics Awards Best Actress, Sissy Spacek won, but in the New York Film Critics Circle Awards, she got runner-up. Now, the Turkish Film Critics Association called it Best Foreign Film, 8th place. I wonder who finished ahead. Now, Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times was a big supporter of the film and said it was absolutely spellbinding horror movie, as well as an observant human portrait, giving 3.5 stars out of 4. Variety credited the film a strong production, unusual plot twists, and a fine cast. Quentin Tarantino plays Carrie at number 8 in his list of favorite films. In a 2010 interview, King replied that he thought, although dated now, Carrie was a good movie. And of course, you know what he said before The Shining. So, please bypass all the remakes and stuff. But look at this cast, pretty strong. Sissy, this is a pretty well a female-centric movie. Sissy Spacek, Amy Irvin, William Catt, Tommy Ross, Nancy Allen, John Travolta, Betty Buckley, P.J. Soule, Sidney Lassick, Stephen Girish, Priscilla Pointer, the mother of Amy Irving, Piper Laurie, and Edie McClurg, of course, the great character actress from WKRP and Back to School and all. He's a righteous dude. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you really haven't seen Carrie before, I'm saying to yourself, you must be under a rock. But in the summer of 76, people were going back to the movie theaters. In 1976, well, 75, 76, 77 was a very prosperous time for movies. There was probably 500 classic movies that came out, and people were going to the theater in droves. Now, we saw Sissy in Badlands, but she played kind of a younger version of herself. But in this one, especially, well, the gratuitous nudity at the front, it almost got the censors all riled up in Canada. I think the Quebec Ratings Board, which is run, I think, still by the Catholic Church, almost gave it an X rating because they were showing full frontal of certain women. But Carrie, again, it's one of the best Stephen King adaptations. Dead Zone's up there, Needful Things. But I really think Sissy Spacek should have won the Oscar that year. You look at Faye Dunaway in the Network, she's kind of chewing up the scenery, while here the scenery is chewing up Sissy Spacek. And listen, the end scene where she blows up every cover by Caro syrup, my God, tremendous performance. Of course, Coal Miner's Daughter 4 years later, kind of a double Oscar win for her. I don't like Brian De Palma. They used to call him Brian the Jabba, National Lampoon parodies. But the movie works, and young William Catt, believe it or not, But Amy Irving, future Steven Spielberg wife, the great Priscilla Pointer. A lot good going on, and I can see your dirty pillows, Piper Laurie. One of the best lines in rebellious history. And when she does the cross with the butcher knife, mwah, Catholic guilt. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take on some of the trivia on Carrie. If you're liking what we're doing here at our movie selection podcast, a little bit of history, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.